and welcome to another Coffee with Carl. I'm your host, Carl Zoellner, one of the attorneys with Anderson Business Advisors, and today I want to talk about one of the cool tools that's out there that a lot of folks don't know about. So we're going to call it, and we just term it this because we tend to name things to describe what they're doing. But I want to take a moment and discuss Wholesale Trust today. As this video is out there for all of my wholesalers, anybody who is in real estate, contemplating being in real estate, you should know about this tool, as everybody who's in real estate is bound to be a wholesaler at some point. You're going to run across a deal that either you don't have the time, the money, or don't want to, or not the right time to take that deal down. So it's good to know how to wholesale a deal. This video will actually deal with the front end of that deal on how to get that property under contract if, say, your focus is wholesaling. But tool available to use for anybody out there. All right, so wholesaling. Wholesaling, with just a sort of simple basic description, is you're basically buying and selling paper in the perfect scenario. Meaning, as a person that's going to go out there, say a bird dog, who's going to run out and find a good property and sell it to an end buyer who will eventually flip the property or keep it as a rental. This is the act of wholesaling, which, by the way, if you didn't know, generates active income, meaning the sale of that contract, you're paying the 15.3% self-employment tax on. So the idea is somebody goes out, finds a property that doesn't have the intention to actually close on the property, but works with investors who would be willing to close on that property and make a profit on it. So for finding that property, what I normally do would be, say, take an assignment fee for that property, meaning I get my piece of the pie, and then my wholesale buyer will then close on the property. Simple enough? I think so. So, wholesale trust. When do we use a wholesale trust? So, many states, actually almost all of them, restrict the assignment of contract without the seller consent. This is important because it usually means if you're trying to assign a contract that is not normally assignable, either the seller can back out or they eventually try to renegotiate or cut you out of the deal. So if number one is to learn or know what contract you're using, does it allow for assignment? If it allows for assignment, no big deal. If it doesn't, we then start to look at using the wholesale trust. Now, some people choose to use this in every scenario, just so simply cut down or make the process identical every single time. But the way the wholesale trust works is I enter into the contract, or I put the property under contract in the name of my wholesale trust. And a wholesale trust is just a short document, but it creates a entity, for lack of a better term, that can actually put things under contract. You can close in the name of the trust. A trust only requires that it's funded. So put in the contract in the name of the trust. Then I find my end buyer. When I find my end buyer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell them my beneficial interest in the trust. I'm going to resign as trustee and appoint them as trustee. So what it looks like from the seller's point of view is that a trustee of a wholesale trust, and they don't know it's a wholesale trust, and I would also suggest not disclosing that as well. Just make it look like it's a trust. Wholesale, somebody who represents the trust entered into the contract, and somebody who represents the trust is closing on the deal. That's what the seller sees. They don't see the change of parties. They don't see the assignment. They don't see that you now have made some money on it and you're out of the deal. What they see is the same party that entered into the contract is closing on the contract. Now, so the easiest way to describe what this tool is used for is it's a placeholder, meaning now I'm not assigning or selling the contract. What I'm doing is signing or selling the beneficial interest of a trust that happens to be wrapped up in a contract or committed to a contract, which is completely fine. So I think it's an interesting tool to use. You can also use, if you have unlimited LLCs with us, you can also use an LLC in this way, meaning enter into contract in the name of an LLC and then sell the LLC to somebody. However, this is an additional tool that's out there where you can use it as well. So that covers wholesale trust. If anybody has any additional questions, always welcome to reach out for new clients or potential new clients. Please get a hold of us for your free consultation, as well as please don't forget to take advantage of all of our free content we have out there. We provide it so you have access to it. Till next time, this is Coffee with Carl.